Now at 5, the trial of a former local elected official accused of shooting a teenager in the face continues today. 9 News reporter Courtney Ewan will join us live with the latest on this week's court proceedings.
Plus the bills Governor Polis is vetoing from this last legislative session, and the reason he says they can't be signed into law.
The football schedule is out for the CSU Rams, who they're set to play in this year's season opener.
We're starting this Friday morning with a live look outside over Denver right now from our Four Seasons camera. Look how gorgeous this sunrise is to start out your Friday. Thanks for joining us. I'm Corey Rose.
And I'm Drew Carney. Some of those live looks we have look like paintings.
Truly. Not
live pictures. Katie LaSalle, beautiful start to the morning out there. What is the rest of the day shaping up to look like?
Good morning, you guys. Happy Friday. We made it to the end of the week. More storms in the forecast for later on this afternoon, and we will be seeing a risk of some severe storm activity. I'll show you where we're going to be looking at that. For this weekend, out and about, it'll be sunshine in the morning Saturday, a few storms popping up scattered and isolated in nature, and then warmer temperatures return. But this morning, winds are calm at 61 degrees, partly to mostly cloudy skies. Quiet conditions here across the Front Range and Eastern Plains. This morning in the mountains, also relatively mild, some upper 40s and 50s to begin. The clouds will be hanging with us if you do head out to Denver International Airport, catching a flight this morning. No inclement weather to tell you about, at least for the first half of the day. Daytime highs nearing 80 degrees, and then in the mountains, 60s and 70s. Severe thunderstorm risk mainly north and northeast. The biggest threat will be hail. I'll break down futurecasts coming up in just a moment.
Happy Friday, everyone. Taking a live look right now. For your Friday morning, it's 5:01. I-25 at 23rd Avenue, traffic very light. Not seeing any traffic volume start to pick up in this area. And later today, we know in the afternoon, there's going to be so many concerts happening. We know at Empower Field, that's where you're taking a live look right now. The Rockies are also playing at home. So this area near I-25 and 23rd Avenue will be pretty busy later this afternoon. So keep that in mind, especially if you have to travel through I-25. Let's get to your drive times. No crashes to report or overnight construction. So I want to zoom into your drive times. If you're in the Commerce City area taking 270 between I-70 and I-25, you're only looking at a 6-minute drive. No issues to report up and down Vasquez, so between I-76 and 270. And if you're leaving the Commerce City area, you still have the green light for anyone taking westbound or eastbound I-76.
Thank you, Brianna. The trial of a former Mountain View Town Council member continues today. Brent Metz is accused of shooting a 17-year-old in the face.
That teen survived and testified yesterday in court. 9 News reporter Courtney Ewan joins us live from the Jefferson County Courthouse this morning. Courtney, jurors heard emotional testimony and new details about the day of the shooting.
Yes, that's right, Corey and Drew. And that teen victim says the day he was shot in the face, he thought he was going to die. So the court did not allow any visual or audio recordings of that victim. So we're going to be respecting that, and we also will not be naming him. So that teen victim, he claimed in court that he remembers driving with his best friend in the Deer Valley area, looking for a place to take homecoming pictures. When they found a spot, he admitted they jumped the fence to look for property owners to ask permission to take pictures. He told the court they couldn't find anyone and went back to their car to write a note. That's when the victim says a truck pulled up and then he blacked out. He claims he woke up and saw a lot of blood, telling the jury he felt his upper lip was gone. He said he tasted fragments of something in his mouth as well. Prosecuting attorneys also presented x-rays of the teen's head, 911 audio from Metz's girlfriend, and a video showing testing of Metz's firearm. The expert engineer who did that gun testing claims the type of gun used would only go off if the trigger was pulled. So later on today, once court begins again for day 3 of this trial, the defense will be bringing in their own witnesses, including their own gun safety expert, and they're hoping to convince the jury that that gun could have gone off without Metz himself pulling the trigger. Live in Golden, Courtney Ewan, 9 News.
All right, thank you, Courtney. Investigators, meanwhile, in Westminster, still trying to figure out what caused yesterday's house fire that sent 3 people to the hospital. Crews responded to a townhome along Grove Street near Federal and 104th Avenue. The fire was in the middle townhome unit, but fire crews were able to stop it from spreading to the other units. 3 people inside were able to get out on their own. We're still waiting for an update on how they're doing this morning.
We now know the name of the 14-year-old shot and killed in the Montbello Recreation Center last week. Denver's Office of the Medical Examiner announced the teen was 14-year-old Mikhail Payne. Police say that he was shot last Thursday night. Officers arrested a boy in connection to the shooting. His name has not been released because he is also a minor. Police say the two knew each other. The Montbello Recreation Center has been closed since the shooting and will stay closed until further notice.
Governor Polis just vetoed the first bills from this legislative session. One of those bills would have required social media companies to quickly comply with law enforcement warrants and proactively report some threats made on their platforms. It was introduced in response to the shooting at Evergreen High School last September, and it was backed by the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office and many Evergreen students who thought it could have actually stopped last year's shooting. Polis said he appreciates the motivation behind the bill, but said that, quote, safety concerns must be balanced with free speech rights. The governor also vetoed a bipartisan bill that would have required commercial vehicles to have a licensed driver on board even if they were using driverless technology. The governor said driver error is the leading cause of crashes and driverless vehicles are innovation that he thinks is worth exploring.
The Commerce Department says core inflation and the overall inflation rate is up in April. The Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index increased by 0.4% for the month. That puts the 12-month inflation rate at 3.8%. Core prices also rose, which is something officials generally consider a better indicator of long-term inflation trends. The uptick in inflation also likely means the Fed will keep interest rates where they are for now.
The U.S. and Iran have reportedly come to an agreement to extend their ceasefire, but it's still missing a very important element. That would be President Trump's approval. Two U.S. officials say the president is reviewing the agreement at this point. Iranian media, meanwhile, released a draft of the reported deal. It would reopen the Strait of Hormuz and extend the ceasefire for 60 days to allow for negotiations on Iran's nuclear program. The push for a deal has been tested twice this week, with the U.S. and Iran exchanging fire near the Strait of Hormuz. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth addressed American forces in Singapore on the potential for more military action.
Iran can either do it the right way, with a deal across the table, or they can deal with my guy on the left. That happened to be me. But it's not me, it's you guys.
If the Strait of Hormuz is reopened through a short-term deal, that would only restore operations to status quo from before the war. It would not address any of the core reasons for starting the conflict in the first place.
The Trump administration has a new message for hundreds of thousands of legal visa holders trying to get a green card. Go home first, then we'll talk. Last week, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services said people with temporary visas trying to get green cards must now return to their birth country to apply at a U.S. embassy or consulate. The memo says an exception would be made only for, quote, extraordinary circumstances, but did not say what that entails. An immigration attorney in Denver says this could impact about 100 of his clients, including those who already had their green card interview.
There's more uncertainty than there ever had been. These people spent thousands of dollars in government fees to apply for adjustment of status. They relied on that process that had been in existence for decades. And now they feel like the ground is being pulled out from under them.
He expects the policy to be challenged in court. In the meantime, he says his office is focused on keeping clients informed about the rapidly shifting circumstances.